I have these two saws and I just don't have the storage space for it in my cabinets. So the objective is to create a platform so that they can rest on but still be easy accessible. I'm going to start with an oversized blank that will accommodate both of the saws, and I'm going to have a mid-sized blank, and this will be for the brackets. So what I have here is 4 blanks, which is 3 inches by 7 inches, and one's going to accommodate the other. One's going to have a dovetail groove in it, and one's going to have a dovetail cut into it, so that way I can slide it in this way. I'm going to mount this to the wall and slide this in and drop the top of the shelf on top. Here I've installed a 3/4 inch straight router bit into the router. And all this is for is just to make it easier to route the dovetail. So what I'm starting out with is a shallow groove down the center of the bracket. And as I reroute, it'll get deeper and deeper until I get to the final depth. Now this is the second pass, and this is the third and final pass. After this, I am ready to install the dovetail bit. Now that I have my dovetails installed, this is a 1-in-8 dovetail, which is made for softwoods. Now I have my 1-in-8 dovetail saddle square, which I'm going to use to make reference marks so I can know where to start and stop my router bit. There's also a 1-in-6 dovetail saddle square and dovetail router bit that you can use for hardwoods. But in this case, since it's melamine, I'm going to use the one for softwood. And this is what it looks like. So now that I got the router bit set up to my layout lines, I'm going to route backwards. And this is called back routing because it routes the opposite direction that the bit is spinning in. Otherwise, the router bit will grab the workpiece and shoot it back at me. And this is what it looks like. And so now I just flip it end for end, which will automatically center up the cut on the stock. Now it's time to route the sliding dovetail that slides into the bracket. What I'm doing here is taking the setup that I had previously and running the stock through there one time. And then now I'm going to flip it end for end. And this is just to get it started. Now slowly I'm going to move the fence so that way I can sneak up on that cut so I can have a very tight fit. Hey, and here I go with the final pass. So this pass, what I'm looking for is a nice snug fit that will slide in the dovetail with ease, but enough to move it. I don't want no play left or right or up and down. So this final cut, it has to be perfect because otherwise I have to start all over. So what I do here, I usually take very shallow passes. So now here we go. Let's test the fit. It's a little snug, but that's what I'm aiming for. And now here I am laying out the saws on the shelf itself. All I'm doing here is trying to get a feel for where I'm going to position the saws. So what I'm going to do now is just position them left and right, front to back. I'm just trying to get a feel of where I'm going to start and stop. Now that I have a start and stop point, I'm going to lay out some reference lines so that I can zero in on the cut. Now I'm going to just scribe a starting line from front to back. This will help me position the saws as a starting point. Now I'm going to scribe it from side to side. And this is where the starting point of the saws will start to begin. Now I'm measuring the openings of the saw so I can zero in on where exactly I'm going to start and stop at. Now that I have them, I can scribe the other side of the opening for the saws to set in. Now I'm going to start on this saw with the measurements, and then I'm going to transfer those onto the shelf. Now that I have everything in line, I'm going to scribe in line so that way everything can stay uniform and the saws will line up exactly with each other. So now this is what I came up with right here. All I'm doing is just scribing out the parts that I'm going to cut out just to help me refer to when I'm cutting, so that way I won't cut the wrong line. Now I got a drill bit and I'm drilling out the start and stop hole, so that way I could come back with the jigsaw and complete the cut. Now with the jigsaw all cut, now I can move on to filing the edges, softening the edges a little bit. And this, you can start with a rasp and then follow with a file. And it helps to have a certain set of rasps and files, because some grades are different than the other. Some files have a double-sided point and some files have a single-sided point. So the double-sided point is more aggressive. So now this is what it looks like. And now I'm ready to attempt to start hanging the brackets. But for now, I'm going to just fine tune it, get everything from front to back, side to side. And then now I'm going to route the edge, a soft chamfer, just to soften the edge of the shelf, just to make it not look so plain. And right here, I just got a chamfer bit in there, and it's just set to about a depth of a 1/4 of an inch. So now I'm going to attempt to put the brackets on and then slide the sliding part into the dovetail groove. Make sure I have a snug fit. Now I can come back with the shelf and set it in place. So that way now I can know where to drill my pilot hole so I can screw the shelf down. With that said and done, this is what it looks like. Now that the saws are on there, it's holding up great with the dovetail brackets. I'm glad how this turned out.